We're asked, from the basket of a hot air balloon 85 feet above the ground, the angle of depression of a point A on the ground is 7.5 degrees. What is the distance from point A to the basket of the balloon? Round to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to draw a rough sketch of what's going on. We have a hot air balloon. And it is 85 feet from the ground. And there is a point on the ground, and that point is called A. So the observer who's on the basket, they have an angle of depression of 7.5 degrees. So let's take a look at the angle of elevation as well as the angle of depression. For both of these things, you must have what's called a horizontal line of sight. And once you have that horizontal line of sight, notice that the angle of elevation is actually this angle up top. And from this horizontal line of sight, the angle of depression is actually this angle. So in our problem, we're going to have that horizontal line of sight, and we're going to find that angle of depression. So going back to our rough sketch, so notice here there is an observer on the hot air balloon. Here is that observer's horizontal line of sight. This is our angle of depression, which is 7.5 degrees. So keep in mind, we're trying to find the distance from the observer on the balloon to the point on the ground A. This is a right triangle. So notice that there is 90 degrees in a right triangle. Within that right triangle, we have two angles. This angle is 7.5 degrees. This angle would give us 90 degrees minus 7.5 degrees, which is 82.5 degrees. So this is our, I'm going to clean this up. This is our reference angle, 82.5 degrees. So I'm going to sketch out our imaginary right triangle. We're going to set up a trig function, so I'm going to label all of my sides. Remember, this is our reference angle. The side opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. The side opposite our reference angle is the opposite. And lastly, we have the adjacent. We're trying to find the hypotenuse. We're given the angle measure. We're given the adjacent side. From our slogan, Chief Sokotoa, the adjacent and the hypotenuse produce a cosine function. So I'm going to find my hypotenuse by using the function, the cosine of 82.5 degrees. That's equal to the adjacent, which is 85, divided by the hypotenuse, which is unknown. We're going to solve for the hypotenuse. So first, in solving for the hypotenuse, we want to clear the fraction. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply both sides by the hypotenuse. So when we multiply the left-hand side by the hypotenuse, we have the hypotenuse times the cosine of 82.5 degrees. And once we multiply the right-hand side by the hypotenuse cancels. So we set that equal to 85. Now, in order to solve for the hypotenuse, the opposite of multiplying the hypotenuse by the cosine of 82.5 is to divide by the cosine of 82.5. So we're going to divide both sides by that quantity. So on the left-hand side, the cosine of 82.5 cancels, and we're left with the hypotenuse. On the right-hand side, we're going to divide 85 by the cosine of 82.5 degrees. I'm going to bring up the calculator. And I'm going to make sure I'm in the right mode. So since I'm given a degree measure, I just want to check to make sure my calculator is in degree mode. So I'm in the right mode. And we have 85 divided by the cosine of 82.5. And that gives us a distance of 651.